Hey everybody, Captain John here at Real Impression Charters. Sorry for the delay, but it's time for another how-to video. I had a pretty busy winter actually this year. We planned a wedding in 3 weeks and married the love of my life on February 1st. So anyway, I'm happy to get another video out to you. And this topic is going to be line and knots. A lot of the questions I get while we're out on the charter boat is, how often do you change your line? What kind of knots do you use? Because I've found that a lot of people aren't using some of these tactics because they're a little intimidated on how to tie these knots. For example, lead core and copper. So we're going to go over that right now. Real briefly, when do you change your fishing line? People think that because I'm a charter captain, I change my line like 3 times a year, and that's not the case. Why take off good line to put good line back on? It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make financial sense. So on monofilament, how you can tell when you need to change your line is it's lost that glossy, shiny look to it. When it starts to look opaque and cracky and white like chalk, time to change that monofilament line. On steel line, when it starts to get this curly Q characteristic to it, that's when I like to change it. It could probably still hold big fish, there's no kinks in it, but I just don't trust it when it gets curly Q like this. I will rip off 15, 20, 30 feet until we get this straighter steel line. Make sure we get those curly Qs out of it. Lead core and copper, they stay good for a long time unless there's bad kinks or bad nicks in it. It's really surprising how long you can keep those lines on your reel and not have to change them. The one thing that I want to make sure I stress to you is keep all of your lines out of the sun. Those UV rays really kill your lines. You know, I'm down at the marina every day and I see all these other fishermen that just leave their poles out even when they're not fishing for days at a time, and that's just killing your line longevity. Get those rods back in the boat, under a roof, even under some towels until you're fishing again. All right, moving on. I'm going to show you how I tie my stainless steel. All right, so the first knot we're going to tie is with the 7-strand stainless steel 30-pound test. It's what we use with our Magnum Dipsy Diver. It's a fairly simple knot to tie. I just fold over about 4 inches and I make a loop knot. Make a loop, give that loop a half a twist and stick the tag end through. If you don't make that half a twist, the line is just going to cinch down onto whatever you're tying it on, and it's not going to stay a loop like this. Okay, and if you get close enough and examine that knot, there's no hard kinks in it. It's a fluid kind of a figure 8 shape. So this knot will not break because of a kink. Clip off your tag end. We'll take a Magnum sized snap swivel like this. You need these bigger ones so it can hold a heavy Dipsy Diver. I'll put that loop through the split ring of the snap. Just part way, put the entire snap through the loop. It's kind of like a half hitch, I guess. And then pull it down tight onto the split ring. Okay, so the stainless steel line is tied. Now I'll put my Dipsy Diver on it. Snap that on. And the next knot that I was going to show you is how we tie regular monofilament, which I'm sure most of you know, but there's a lot of people that have questions, so I'm going to hit it too. I've got my 25-pound Seaguar fluorocarbon, and as long as of a leader that you can make, that you can stand, make it. We're doing 9-foot leaders, which I know is really long, and most nets can't even reach that fish with a 9-foot leader. But get an extra hand on it and get that lure as far back behind the Dipsy as you can handle it. So we're going to tie a 9-foot leader at the end of our rubber snubber. Make sure that you put your clip end of the Dipsy Diver toward your rod tip. I've seen a lot of people put them on backwards. Rubber snubber on the back, and this is how you tie just your everyday fisherman's knot, cinch knot, barrel knot, whatever you want to say. Through the eyelet the same direction, so that I have loop with a tag end like that. 1, 2, 3, 4 times around, and then through both loops. Okay? Grab onto that tag end, and you always lubricate your knot, always, always. Cinch it down tight. Okay. So that's all tied up. We've got our stainless steel knot connected to our dipsy, our rubber snubber, and then our 9-foot leader. That is how you tie steel. Moving on, we are going to go to lead core. And they're going to get a little bit more involved, so to speak, as we move on here. So when tying lead core, you don't want the lead portion of the line in your knot. So I backed out about 4 inches of lead out of the Dacron. See how it's all limp? There's no lead in there. That's what we're going to tie our knot with. So this knot is called a back-to-back knot or a uni knot. We're going to tie our monofilament or fluorocarbon leader to our lead core. First thing you do is pull these lines past each other quite a ways, because you're going to put 2 knots together that as you pull them tight, they're going to meet, kind of like this action. Okay? So I'll lay my lead core line out straight. And I'm going to lay my monofilament alongside of it. Put a little loop in it and lay it along the main line of the lead core. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops. And I'm going to lubricate it. And I'm going to tighten it just enough so that it doesn't slide around. Okay, I'm not tightening it down tight. And I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side to the mono with the lead core. I'm making my loop. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to tighten it down just enough. A little lubrication. And as I pull these 2 knots together, they're sliding on each other. They're going to get tight as they meet. Okay. Pulling the tag ends a little bit as those knots get closer. So when they meet, they're 2 very, very tight knots. The harder you pull, the tighter those knots are going to get. That knot is not going anywhere. Clip off my tag ends. And I have just tied my leader to my lead. I've just tied my leader to my lead core. And I'll usually do like 20 cranks on the reel handle to give me enough leader line. You don't want your bait too close to the lead core because it will not only hinder the action of your spoon or your fly and dodger, the fish can see lead core. It's very visible. So you want a nice long leader on it. Okay? Moving on to copper. Copper is a very bulky line. It's very thick, so you have to run a special knot on it that most people are too intimidated or think they can't learn it. But you need to run copper, especially with the clear water on Lake Michigan. If you're not running a copper setup, at least a 300-foot copper, you're really missing out. You're missing a lot of fish that aren't going to hit some of the baits close to your boat. So I double the copper line over about 4 inches. Okay? Just a simple bent it over. I take my fluorocarbon leader. Put it through that cinch of the copper. I'm going to go around 10 times away from where I inserted through that loop. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I've done 10 laps, whips around. I'm gonna go into that loop the same way I went in. Okay, so I went in the loop, going back out. And you want these wraps to stay in order. If you don't keep those tight on the copper, it's just gonna fall off. You're just gonna pull it off the end of the copper and you're not gonna have any knot left. So I'm gonna lubricate the whole thing. I'm gonna make sure that as I'm pulling, these wraps stay in the order that I put them in. Okay? Pulling it down, pulling on the main line and the tag end as I'm assisting these loops down the copper. Okay. Cinched it down. Now it looks like a very, very nice wrap around the copper. The harder I pull, the tighter that knot's gonna get. And I wanna manipulate this knot because it is a big bulky knot and copper is big and bulky in itself. I'm smashing it around, I'm getting it flat because I need it to flow through all of my line guides and I need it to flow through my pawl on my reel that directs the line back and forth to wind up on the reel spool. So I'm making sure that that knot is as compact as I can get it, okay? So that's very tight. That's exactly what I want it to look like. Clip off my tag end on both. And that's it. That's how you tie your copper. That knot isn't going anywhere. And then again, just like the lead core, about 20 cranks on the reel to give you a good, I don't know, 60, 70 foot leader, and we're all set to go. Hey, so this has been Knot Tying with Captain John. I gave you a couple little tips on line maintenance and how to tell when it's time to change your line. I showed you the big 4, monofilament on a snap, stainless steel line on a snap, copper, and lead core. If you have any questions, feel free to call me or text me 920-495-3302. If you'd like to get out fishing for king salmon, steelhead, smallmouth, walleyes, muskie, whatever your little heart desires, give us a call. Check us out on Facebook, Real Impression Charters, Instagram, or realimpressioncharters.com. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.